Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Networking Thursday. We're very glad you're with us today. It's August 10th, 2023. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. Today's recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. If you have any questions throughout this presentation, for those on Zoom, just put your questions into the chat window. For those watching on Facebook, please just put any questions you have into the comment field. We are monitoring both feeds. Also, this is all about networking with other people who are on the call today. So if you'd like, put in your contact information. Let us know who you're looking for. Give us your name, your LinkedIn address, your email address, who you're looking for, a couple target companies, because you never know who can connect. Should connect with everybody else who's on the call today. Send them a personal note on LinkedIn when you're done. Just remember, any comments you put in the Zoom chat will not appear in the recording, so they're not going to be out there forever and ever. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started this website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched the second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Jobs That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I always have copies with me. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. That group's been around since the late 1990s. Like I said, I took it over in 2007, and I'll tell you about our upcoming program that we have coming up tomorrow morning at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the Practice Interview Team, also known as the PIC Crew. Remember, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, they're not going to get you a job. What's going to get you a job is how well you practice your interviewing skills. So if you want more information, just go to dallaspiccrew.com. All right, well, for every session on Networking Thursday, we've had a different speaker talking about networking. Today, we're going back all the way back to the very first speaker we ever had, Carol Brickell. She's actually no longer with us. She passed away about a year ago, and I haven't played this presentation in quite a while. But she was our first speaker talking about secrets for effective networking. So this is a pre-recorded session. There will be, she'll ask for some participation. You're welcome to, go along with what she asks for and what she talks about. But just remember, this is pre-recorded. So any questions you have, we will answer those at the end of this session. So let me get this going.
And we've designed this session. I've had a chance to pilot this session with another organization and a couple of experts. And we've designed it to be interactive and fun, and we have some tools for you to take away. So it's not just me talking at you. We'll share some information and things that you can do and take away from this. And we will make this fun and interactive. So if you can, put your phone aside and just put your focus on this. Now, if you get a call from a recruiter or a job offer, I'll give you a pass on that. But try to put your phone aside and just give this your full focus so you can have enjoy all the interactivity and fun. And the first thing I'd like you to do for those on Zoom is you can open up your participant box. And if you see the green check mark, click the green check mark if you can hear my voice, see the slides, or you can type yes into the chat box. And there's also a new option at the bottom of Zoom. If you want to click on it, there's a reaction thing. You can click thumbs up on that as well, if you want to try that. And I want to see if that shows up in my participant box. Yeah, those little reaction marks, I'm not seeing any as a co-presenter. Okay, interesting. But yeah, we wanted to test to see how that works. Good, well, thank you for those of you that have hit the green check mark and the participant box. And we're keeping people muted just to keep the background noise down. But I do encourage you, if you have questions throughout the presentation, type those into chat. I'll be monitoring it, and Jeff will help me keep up with chat questions. And if you want to go off mute, just type us a message. And if you want to say a question, but for the sake of time, since we have so much content, we'll keep it rolling with chat comments. And to get us warmed up using chat, I'd like for everyone to go into chat and type in a yes, no, or maybe, or I think. Have you ever found a job as a result of networking? Go into chat and type yes or no, and those on Facebook Live, you can type it into the comments. I'm seeing lots of yeses and a few no's. And somebody who's early in their career. Yeah, leads, definitely leads for jobs. Found every job I had via networking. Me too. I've been working for 40 years, 40, and all of my jobs, one was with the same company for a long time, but after that, it was all through networking. Good. How are you defining networking? Great lead-in. We will talk about that. We'll talk about different examples of networking. So hold that thought. And thanks for asking that question. So as Jeff mentioned, you'll be hearing every Monday from different speakers that'll provide different perspectives. And your job is to listen to all the different ideas and then apply what makes most sense to you. And here's a little bit of my background so you understand the perspective I'm coming from. I worked for many years for an IT firm called EDS. It was acquired by Hewlett-Packard in 2008. And I spent many years there as a hiring manager and interviewing people. And every 2 or 3 years, I had a new job at EDS. I started off as a programmer, project manager, as a system engineering supervisor, salesperson, HR, learning and development leader. And every time I got a new position within EDS, it was always through networking. And even when I decided I wanted to move to Washington, D.C., my husband and I were just married and wanted to move someplace. So I called a leader in Washington, D.C. and moved there with EDS. Then we got homesick and I called some leaders in Dallas and got moved back. So it was all through networking. And then I retired from EDS HP in 2012. And I got 6 years of experience as a recruiter, both in agency and corporate environments. So I learned about networking from a very different perspective. And I got a couple different jobs during that time and got great experience. And then for the past 2 years, I've been working as a career coach, got certified, started up my own business. So I do individual consultation sessions with people, but then I also volunteer on a weekly basis with the Dallas Pit Crew. That's a practice interview team. And that's where you can sign up to do practice interviews. And so I volunteer my time for that. And Jeff and also Mark McDonald, who's on this call today, or Mark is the leader of that organization. Great organization. Okay. And here's our agenda today. We'll talk about the importance of networking, feelings about networking, and we'll kind of talk about that question, what do I mean by networking? We'll talk about different examples of networking. And we've posted information about the Dallas Pit Crew practice interview team in the chat box. And we will be sharing tools throughout the presentation. A little bit later, we'll share a copy of the OnePage executive bio that you can use. It's different than a resume, but it's a tool that you can use with networking. And then I have an email or a handout with sample emails that you can use to set up networking sessions, such as informational interviews. And then also the handout includes some questions you can ask when you're in a networking situation. And then we'll share some tips and some ideas so you can make a plan for networking. So the first thing we'll talk about is the importance of networking. And I found there are many statistics about networking, but 60% of jobs are found through networking. That's either when you have applied for a job and then you network by reaching out to somebody, or you reach out to an old boss and say, I'm available, do you need somebody? That's how I got 1 or 2 of my jobs, actually. So 60% are found through networking. And I'd like for everyone to go into chat and type in a few key words. What do you think are some additional benefits of networking? You know, as you're talking with people, when you're in job search mode and you're asking questions and you're networking, what kinds of things can you learn? What kinds of things can you find out? And I'll read off a few. I mean, since we have so many people today, we're up to 64 in Zoom. That's great. I'll read a few of these words. So what are some of the benefits of networking? learning more about their target industries, target companies, gathering information, getting encouragement, exposure, openings that are not yet posted. Yes. You're establishing business relationships, mutual support. Yes, when you reach out for help, also think about how you can help in return. We'll talk about that a lot. That you're not alone. Yes, building relationships. Good, I won't have time to read all of these, so I encourage you to go ahead and look in chat and look at all these great ideas. Make friends. Yeah, I've made some great friends through this whole process of networking. Guidance. Good, meeting new connections, building relationships. Yeah, and learning where former coworkers are. That's a great source. Okay. And then here are some additional benefits. Many of you have touched on these. To gain knowledge, either about a job or a company or an industry, to gain access to that hidden job market. Several people mentioned that you can gain access to information about jobs that might not yet be posted. Now, most companies need to post their jobs for legal employment law reasons. They want to post them and make sure they go through a fair interview process. Sometimes you can get a heads up early in the process and get to the top of the stack if you reach out. To learn more about education or certification requirements that might be needed for certain jobs. To learn about professional organizations that you should join that would be good on your resume and also good for additional sources of people to network with. And then to gain insights about what software skills are really required in accounting. Like as a recruiter, I learned that in accounting, if you know Excel, you better know how to do pivot tables and VLOOKUPs, things like that. So, and then also to kind of verify your career path and to get feedback and ideas. When I was retiring from EDS and I had this dream of becoming a career coach, I reached out to some really great career coaches to get their ideas of what I should do in order to become a good career coach. And that's when I decided to actually get a job as a recruiter for a while. And that actually gave me a better basis to be a stronger career coach because it gave me insight into how the industry really works. And then also to gain additional job search strategies when you're talking with people. They may give you suggestions of who to reach out to. And then also, as you're talking with people, in the back of your mind, your hidden agenda really is to gain access to one or two other names of people that you should contact with. Good, and people are still writing in some great comments to learn about real skills and experience for the job that's required. Yeah, the hidden job market, good. Now, I'd like for people to type in. You can type it into everyone, or you can just type it to me if you want to keep anonymous. How do you really feel about networking? You feel A, nervous, B, embarrassed, C, uncomfortable, or D, excited and motivated, or something else? Go ahead and type that in. And people are typing in other. Yeah, so if you're typing in E, yeah, type in what it is. Motivated. Somebody said burned out. Yeah. Especially now with the job market as it is, it's hard to keep motivated. And that's why talking to somebody just to get that encouragement or to get an idea of something new you could do. I find I do that a lot as a career coach. I ask people, okay, what have you been doing? And they say they've been doing one thing, reaching out to people. I'm like, okay, let's mix it up. Let's do something different this week. And that gets them motivated. Let's target some companies this week. Okay, somebody said frustrated. A little bit of everything. A, B, C, yes. Excited to learn your tips. Good. Versus filling out applications. I have to do that too a little bit, but yeah, hopefully I'll give you lots of tips and I'll ask for your feedback at the end. I'm comfortable. Okay. Thank you for your honesty. Good. Okay, now I'm going to ask you the most important question. And I give Walt Glass the credit for this. I learned this question from him. And this could change your whole way of thinking about networking, especially those of you that feel uncomfortable about it. And most people do. So think about this question. If somebody reaches out to you for advice or for help, how does that make you feel? Type it into chat. If somebody reaches out to you for help, yeah. Tears in eyes. Yep. Encouraged, appreciated, good, honored. Yeah. That's why I do what I do as a career coach. Because I get back, more in return. When people reach out for help, I'm just so honored to help people. So, yeah. Somebody said scared. Yeah, and that's honest. So if somebody reaches out to you, it's like, oh, am I even, qualified to help them? But if you can just be there for them, even if you don't have advice to give them, just being there and just encouraging that, reminding that person that they have good skills and they're on the right track, they're doing the right thing. Even if you do just that, it makes my day. So remember this, when you reach out to somebody for help or for advice, you might be making their day. That might be the best phone call they get all day. And they may feel honored that you reached out to them. So don't hesitate to reach out for advice or for help or for feedback. Yeah. Yeah. And then somebody said, I feel I should give them some type of response, even if it may not be what they're looking for. Yeah, just being there. Yes. Yes. I'm looking through these words just to see if there's anything else. Motivated, good, happy, validated. Yes. Honored, great, good. Okay. So if that changes your thinking about networking, give me a green check mark in participant box or a yes in comments or chat. Does that kind of change how you think about networking or make you appreciate it in a new way? Maybe many people already felt this way. Good, good. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. There we go. Okay. Now, what are some examples of networking? Somebody asked me, how do I define networking? And I define it rather broadly. There's lots of examples of networking. And somebody said, yes, they feel better about networking already. Good. That's my goal, is to get at the root of it, the feelings about networking, and make you feel better about it. Good. Okay. And then somebody said, not really. Yeah. It's easier for me to help someone than to receive a negative response when I reach out. Yeah, if you receive a negative response, that says more about that other person than you. And I would just say, just move on and try somebody else. Either that person was having a bad day, or they're not the type of person that wants to help somebody, or I would just say move on to places where you get more positive energy. Yeah, that happens. Okay. So what are some examples of networking? If you could go into chat and type in, where are some places you can network? What are some types of things you can do to network? Go ahead and type in a few keywords. Informational interview, striking up a conversation at a grocery store. Yes. Group church. Yeah, that's a great source. Telling somebody if you know of an opening, giving back. Yes. Volunteer opportunities, former coworkers, professional organizations. Great examples. LinkedIn, okay. Hobbies and get-togethers, good. So you're touching on, and what I've done is kind of group these types and examples of networking into sort of categories. The first is informal. Somebody mentioned grocery stores, and I know somebody that was at a Starbucks and they were sitting at a table working on the resume. And somebody walked by and said, hey, what are you working on? And it was just a stranger. And the guy said, oh, I'm working on a resume. I'm looking for a job as a recruiter. And the stranger said, oh, I know a guy who's starting up a company. Give him a call. And he gave him a call and he got a job. This was just talking to a stranger at Starbucks. So that's an example of informal networking. Let people know what you're doing. Yeah. Somebody got a job because they talked to a stranger on Dart. Excellent. Okay, and then social gatherings, family events. Let your cousins, your siblings, let people know that you're looking. Yes. And then also more formal networking organizations, either professional associations, webinars such as this. We're going to practice some networking here in a moment. Alumni organizations, volunteer organizations, when you're working side by side with somebody at a food pantry, You know, that's a great place to chit chat. Faith-based organizations, great. And then also there are actions you can take. These are types of networking things. Setting up informational interviews, seeking advice from leaders in your field. That's sort of an informational interview. Seeking input from recruiters. If you don't have a recruiter working for you, I encourage you to connect with a recruiter. And if you need some connections, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I can get you connected with some great recruiters who can give you feedback about the job market, your resume, and get you presented to hiring managers. And you don't have to pay a fee like the company does. So, and then seeking people, you know, at target companies to refer you. Okay, and then seeking people to contact after you apply online. If you apply for a job online, the chances of you getting called for an interview, several of you may have heard me say the statistic before, it's 2%. If you apply for a job online and sit back and wait, your chances of getting called for an interview are only about 2%. But if you contact somebody that can refer you to the recruiting organization or call the recruiter who posted the job or a recruiting manager and let them know you meet the requirements, your chances may go up to about 50%. So that type of networking is very important. So we're going to dive into the informal networking a little bit. So at these social gatherings or places like Starbucks or the grocery store, maybe not the grocery store, you don't want to tell everyone you're looking for a job, but if you're striking up a conversation, you know, let them know what you're looking for and keep it brief, because they're not going to remember all the details about what you do, but let them know the job title and, you know, say, do you know anybody or know any companies? You know, just real brief, let them know. They might remember one thing, the job title. And if you have a little card, you know, if they think they might know somebody, give them a card. Keep those in your pocket. And then at more formal networking opportunities, and this is something we practice at the PIC crew and also during the Career DFW webinars, we practice networking, letting people know what you're looking for. And again, keep it brief. And this I learned from Mark McDonald. I want to give Mark credit for this. If you're networking, you know, people aren't going to remember all the details about the types of jobs and industries you've worked for, the types of things you like to do. Tell them your title and maybe 1 or 2 companies that you're targeting, because they might know somebody at one of those companies. And if you're face-to-face, you know, hand them the card so they keep it top of mind. So don't say, well, I used to be a project manager when I worked at so-and-so and I focused on doing all these things and I worked in this organization. Just say, I am an IT project manager and my target companies are this and this. And they might remember or be able to respond to that. So I'd like to give us all a chance to practice networking. So if you're comfortable sharing, you know, what job title you're looking for and maybe a couple companies, feel free to type those into chat or comments. Type in, I am a project manager, even if you were recently laid off, like many people have been during this time. Say, I am a project manager, or I am an accountant, or I am a recruiter, and my 2 target companies are. And go ahead and type those into chat. And I'd like for you to look at the comments that come through. And if you see somebody who has a target company and you know people there, make a note of that. Make a note of that person's name and that target company and reach out to that person, either privately in chat messages here or afterwards on LinkedIn. Try to track them down. Somebody says they're an instructional designer. Yeah, reach out to me because I'm always looking for people. I recently retired from Next Step Recruiting and they are always looking for HR, accounting, finance, and HR folks. And they were looking for some instructional designers for some of their clients. What if you no longer have target companies? I encourage you to have target companies. Yeah, just have 1 or 2 in your hip pocket that you'd love to work for. And that'll help you in networking. Okay, good. So I'd like for everyone to go in and type in what they are and their target companies. And I'd like for people to watch this chat here for a moment and make a note of the person's name and a target company if you know anybody there. pricing strategy, admin assistant, networking. So we're giving you, so have fun looking at those real quickly as we're going through this. And now I'm going to share some tools for networking. So we're giving you some actual tools that you can take away. And once again, we're sharing things, or I'm sharing things from my perspective. You can apply these as you wish. And if they don't work for you, you don't have to use them at all. But I'm just sharing as many tools as I possibly can so that you have things to work with after this webinar. Good. And thank you. Everyone has done a great job typing in chat. Okay, so tools for networking. Everybody probably has a resume, which is a kind of a detailed chronological resume of your professional history, usually 2 pages and targeted for the jobs that you're applying to. And in addition, I have found it's good to have a 1-page executive or high-level biography. And it used to be that people at more senior levels had these. But I'm starting to see, as I'm coaching people and working with people, more and more people are using these 1-page bios for networking because they can be used in a variety of situations. This book that's available online through Amazon Prime Kindle for free has a good chapter about 1-page biographies. So Mina Brown has written a chapter about this, and this is her 1-page bio. And her book talks about the differences between a resume and a bio, where a resume really signals you're looking for a job. But if you're doing a networking conversation and just kind of reaching out to advice for somebody, you don't want to make them uncomfortable. I feel like you only want to find a job or ask them if there's a job opening. You're really just, you're looking for advice. And so a bio is a kind of a gentler document that you can use that just provides an overview about your background. And so it can be less risky to use. And a resume focuses on your work details, whereas a bio really focuses on your career accomplishments and your areas of expertise. And resumes are for job search, and bios can be used for multi-purposes, such as obviously informational interviews, just meetings that you're setting up to reach out for advice, or if you're serving as a speaker, as a webinar, for a webinar, you can use these documents. And I was looking for some samples online, and frankly, I didn't find any that I liked very well, but I did have one client that had an easy format that was very easy to update. And so we are sharing that with you in chat. And Jeff, now would be a good time to share this template. And we put it in native MS Word format. So you can take this and populate it with your picture. And people ask me, is it okay to use pictures? Because we're not supposed to on resumes. Yeah, on resumes you shouldn't, because that's a job search tool and there can be employment law issues related to that. But in social networking, like on Facebook, LinkedIn, you use your picture, and you can use your picture when you're kind of networking and using a bio. So it's different. It's more like social networking as opposed to a job application document. So it's okay to use your picture and put your areas of expertise that align to the areas of expertise and the jobs you're looking for. Very brief background, brief professional biography with the names of the companies you worked for, and you're welcome. Somebody said, thanks for sharing this. Yeah, I stole this template from a guy, one of my clients, and he said, sure, use it and share it. So I thought it was real easy to update because it doesn't require any fancy formatting skills or anything. So it includes your professional biography, education, certifications, contact information right at the top, and then any major achievements or accomplishments. And if you can quantify these, achieving targets, that's really great. And you want these categories, again, to align to key areas of expertise that align to jobs that you're targeting. So you want to read the job descriptions of the jobs you're targeting and underline the requirements for the jobs or areas of expertise so that you align your bio. And this is great. And one time I had a client who was from out of the DFW area, and he wanted me to help him network with people in Dallas-Fort Worth. So I helped him create this executive bio, and then I sent it to 10 contact people that I wanted him to meet that were in the IT sales industry. And I said, here's a guy I want you to meet. If you have any advice about his career, feel free to reach out to him. And I included a copy of this bio. And 4 out of 10 of my contacts reached out to the guy and gave him some advice for some companies to talk to and where to focus. So these are great networking tools. All right. And then also we have a handout that we will share. And my handout is in PDF format because it has some hot links in it. And that's the only way we can share it in the chat box. But it includes links to articles and includes some sample email text that you can take and modify. And I encourage you to modify these. These are just simple email kind of templates that you can use for networking. And they can give you some ideas as a starting place. Yes. And Jeff, did you have a comment or anything, or saw that you went off?
Somebody made a comment, should it be this, can I use the picture I have on LinkedIn? And I think, yes, that's very important because you want to market yourself. You want the same picture on LinkedIn, on your bio, I mean, on your Facebook page. You want to take your brand and take it through all the platforms.
Yes, very good. Yes. And be sure that your face takes up 60% of the spot and make it fairly professional looking, like a LinkedIn picture. So yes, good. People who do not look anything like their published picture. Yes, and your picture should be within the last 2 to 3 years. Yeah, met people that don't look anything like the published picture. And that's actually a best practice to make sure your picture does look like you. Yes. Okay. Assuming you have a good headshot. Yes. And one thing I've read about headshots, recruiters' eyes tend to go to people that have either a pure white background or very natural lighting in the background. Mine's a little busy in the background because it's kind of informal, and I work out of my house and I'm a career coach. But if I were really looking for a position, I would have either a plain white background or some natural, really light lighting in the background. Yes. Okay. And my handout contains 4 sample emails. One that can be an email that you send to 10 or 20 of your most trusted colleagues, just letting them know that you're looking. And I call it a direct mail campaign. And I encourage people to do this. And then how do you feel about using first person in your biography? LinkedIn, yes. Resume, no. Bio, I think I would go more with third person, I think. But it might depend. If anybody has any opinions about that, let me know. And I'm curious. Certified. Yeah, I wrote this in third person. Yeah, I think I'd go with third person. If anybody else has any opinions. Yes. And also my other sample email is one to request a informational interview, and I'll show that in a moment. And then also a sample email to send to a friend or a contact within a company when you've applied online, just to let them know, hey, I just applied for a job at your company. Can you forward this email to the right recruiter or the recruiting manager? Because I meet all of the requirements. That's the secret password. Be sure to say, I meet all of the requirements, including, and list a couple things they're looking for. Those words are golden to recruiters. And then also I sent a sample email, or I have a sample email to send to a recruiter after you follow up applying after a job application, either to the recruiter who posted the job, or if you don't know the name of the recruiter, go a level up and search for a recruiting or talent acquisition leader. Okay. And so here's one of the sample emails that's in the handout. And of course, I'd want you to modify this, put it in your own words, but something to the effect, this is if you're wanting to set up an informational interview. I was referred to you by so-and-so. They recommended that you be a good source of information. I have experience. I'm currently exploring career opportunities. And I would appreciate your advice or feedback about my career. Just real open-ended. Don't say, do you have a job for me? Just say, I'd appreciate your advice or feedback. And then would you have 15 minutes? And now in the days of Zoom calls, most people can chunk out, 15 minutes, maybe over the lunch hour for a brief phone call. And here are a couple of options that are available for me. Be proactive and let them know a couple specific times. Let me know if either of those times work. If you don't hear from them, move on to somebody else. Or if they reply back and say, nope, I can't do it, just move on to somebody else that has more of a positive response. And like I mentioned, when I networked to 10 people on behalf of this client, I heard back from 4. And I thought that was actually pretty good response. Okay. And then in my handout, I also include some questions. So if you're going to go into a 15-minute session with somebody to seek feedback about your career, you want to think of 4 or 5 questions to ask them. And you may not have time to ask many more to that because you want to honor that time. Now, if they want to keep you on the call, you know, at the 15-minute mark, if they're still talking, you could say, I'm going to do a time check and honor your time. I see we're at 15 minutes. And if they say, oh, let's keep talking, you can let them keep talking, but try to honor their time. But have some, you know, some open-ended questions to ask in the opening, you know, like, hey, what's new with you if it's somebody you know, or you know, thank you so much for your time. And I'm interested to hear, what do you do at this company? And what do you like most about your job? And then ask them some open-ended questions to get to know either the industry or job or the company, depending on what kind of information you're trying to find out. Just ask them some open-ended questions. What do you like about working at this company or job? Or what are the biggest challenges that you find? These are just some ideas for open-ended questions. And then you may want to ask them other open-ended questions to get their advice about connections. Okay. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and pause for this question in chat. When we get back to life as usual, do you think that getting together for coffee or lunch would be a better way to get the feedback you're requesting? I would offer both, because people are getting more and more comfortable with Zoom meetings. And I know for me, it takes a lot less time to jump on a Zoom call than to drive all the way to Starbucks or to my favorite conference room in the back of a coffee shop. I mean, that takes like an hour or so to get there and whatever. So maybe offer them an option. I'd be happy to jump on a Zoom call or meet for coffee. I bet you most people would say they would just jump on a phone call or Zoom call or whatever. Hope that answered your question. And here are some additional open-ended questions to get advice. You know, let them know that you're open to some opportunities such as these kind of jobs. What advice do you have? Just a very open-ended question. And that could take up 15 minutes in itself right there. And then you might want to ask them, are there any networking groups or professional development organizations that you participate in, or professional organizations? Are there any people that you recommend I talk with about this industry? Are there any companies you recommend that I explore? Do you know anyone at those companies? And at the end, be sure to thank them for their time and then ask them if there's anything they can do, you can do for them in return. And think about ahead of time, maybe what you could do for them in return, such as offering, if you know the person pretty well, offering about writing a recommendation for them on LinkedIn, or maybe think of something else. Those of you that are really savvy about networking, and I know we have some people that are savvy here, what are some things that you can do for somebody in return? Like if you've networked with somebody, they've given you some great advice, and you want to do something at the end of the call to offer in return, what are some things you can offer to that person? If they're a recruiter, you can offer them other candidates, like say, oh, I know another instructional designer I could refer to you. Offer them coffee or a gift card. Say, thank you so much. I'm gonna, what's your email? I'm gonna send you a little email gift card for Starbucks. And I think you can order those and send them in an email. Yes. Okay. Zoom just went on the blink. Testing, testing. Jeff, is Zoom working for you okay? Okay, all right. So we may want to download the handout again and the bio again. Okay, good, good. All right. Summary of a relevant article. Yeah, send them an article. Introductions. Is there anybody you'd like to meet? Other candidates? Okay. Took one guy out for a steak dinner. Oh, that's great. That's nice.
I'm available. I'm available anytime you want to take me for a steak dinner.
And me, I'm mostly vegetarian, so I'll take a gift card for Sprouts. No, I'm kidding. And please, people, you don't need to send me gift cards to Sprouts. I was just kidding. Anyway, yeah, please. Yeah, I was not soliciting there. And let's see, networking tips. And then in my handout, I have some great articles with tips for networking. And I went through them and I picked out a few of my favorites, and then also just a couple of ideas I have as well. And as I've talked to a couple of experts like Walt Glass as I was preparing for this webinar, you know, networking tips, offer help, give back to your network. In fact, I encourage you right now, write down the name of somebody you could help right now. Who pops to mind? Is there somebody you could even just check in with and just say, how are you doing? I was just thinking about you today. How are you doing? Whenever somebody's name pops into my head, I usually send them a text message and just say, hey, you just popped in my head. How are you doing today? And usually they respond back and say, wow, you know, I'm having a challenge. Can we talk? And so think of somebody right now and write down that name. And then follow up with them and say, I thought of you today. How are you doing? You know, okay. Mark said. Okay, great, okay. And then the other thing I do a lot with people, especially people that feel like they're stuck in their job search. I jokingly say, have you done a direct mail campaign yet? Because my husband used to be in the business of writing direct mail. and people go, what do you mean? And I say, have you drafted a letter to send to or an email to send to your top 10 favorite people, maybe former bosses or coworkers? And I have a sample email in my handout that you can send to people. And that gets people kind of jump started if you feel like you're kind of stuck with your job search. And then also in terms of networking, just think of the approaches that work best for you. Some people work best by picking up the phone and calling people, you know, joining organizations, doing volunteer work, whatever works best for you. Okay. Good. And somebody talked about the eye help. That's Walt Glass's. You know, what's anybody who's been through one of Walt Glass's webinars, what does he usually say as kind of a mantra for job searching? If you can type in that whole thing, that would be great in chat. I don't know if Walt's out there today. Okay. And then network all the time, not just when you need help. Yeah, don't become known as one of those people that only reaches out when you need help. I know there are some people out there when I talk to people that you can usually think of somebody who's like that. Don't be known as that person. So network all the time, even after you landed. Yes, somebody filled in the blank here on chat. What Walt Glass teaches in his interview skills class, I teach people to say, here's what I am, I do, and I help. Yes, good. That's great. And then also follow up. I love it when I'm helping somebody as a career coach, you know, help somebody with their job search, and then a couple of weeks later they send me a note and say, I landed, or I had a job interview. I want to debrief a little bit, you know, so follow up with those people. Yes. Is it better to find your next job or hope you get found? You have to proactively, in today's job market, you own your job search. You have to be proactive. So yes, if you hope you get found, or even hope you get involved and called for an interview when you apply online, the chances are you won't get called. So you have to be proactive. Could someone recommend a reliable recruiter in the Atlanta area? Please reach out to me. Yes, I've got connections. Yes. You have to be active. Jobs don't hunt. You hunt, or you do something. You ate. What? Okay. All right. So now we've been talking about networking. We've been talking about feelings and how you feel if somebody reaches out to you for help. So maybe that helps you feel better about networking. So on a scale of 1 to 10, How motivated do you feel about networking? Go ahead and type in a number into chat or comments. Okay, somebody said 3. If you want to privately tell me what could make it an 8 or why a 3, I'm curious. Somebody said a 5. If it's low, I'm interested in hearing why. Yeah, there's several people below 5, which is fine. And that's honest. Okay. Because if 60% of job hunters find a job through networking, good. All right. And here are some ideas. If you feel motivated, and even if you don't quite feel motivated about networking, the thing you want to do is take action. We talked about you own your career. And somebody says, yeah, it turns into a grind. Somebody said that privately. It does. And so that's why switching things up is so important. And when I meet with people, with clients, as I'm career coaching, I ask people a lot of questions about what they're currently doing, what works well, what hasn't worked well. And then I help them brainstorm about some new approaches. And usually they leave the call motivated because they're like, oh, we'll try something entirely new and maybe I'll get some additional results. So yeah. Okay. So that's very honest. So here are some ideas about, making a plan. I'm going to share about 10 different ideas of things you can do to kind of mix things up. And in the handout, we have a place where you can write down and kind of make your plan for yourself. Okay. And the person that wrote to me privately, if you could also reach out on LinkedIn to me, I think I'm the only Carol Brickell who's a career coach in Dallas. If you could reach out to me on LinkedIn so I can retain that information. Thank you. Good. And then somebody says they haven't found a straightforward career path. Then I would encourage you to talk to somebody, do an informational interview, reach out to somebody for advice or reach out to a career coach and talk through that, because that usually does require a conversation if you're really trying to decide your career path. And as a career coach, I ask a couple key questions that get people thinking, and it usually shines a light on what path they should follow. And Jeff, yes.
Well, and I think it's very important that when you're not sure what you want to do, informational interviewing, which is what we're doing now, networking is so important, because I know there was this person who I'm familiar with thought she wasn't sure what she wanted to do. And so she started doing informational interviewing, and she narrowed herself down to go, oh, this is the job that I want to go after, and then focused in on that. But it probably took her a month, 15, maybe 15 different information interviews before she finally realized that, yes, this is the job I really want to go for. So
good.
It's all networking.
It is networking. And as a career coach, I'm kind of trained to ask deep questions to help people really discover their strengths and where to focus. And then also based on my experience as a recruiter in the job market, help align those strengths to the types of jobs. And so that's what career coaches do. And people ask me, and there are lots of personality assessments out there and strength finders and such. And those are good, but sometimes having a conversation can really enlighten the situation. And thank you, HR Heidi, for posting my LinkedIn link. That's great. Good. And then over 50. Yeah, I got a job at 55 and 59. And so being a career changer over 50, it's possible. You just have to be proactive and have enthusiasm for the job you're going after, and think in your head, wow, this company would be so lucky to get me because I have so much experience and I can just hit the ground running and be a mentor or whatever. Yeah. So there's lots of positives to being over 50 and being a job seeker. Okay. All right. So here's some ideas for making a plan and to mix things up a bit, because somebody said it does get to be a grind. And so try something new. Maybe make a one-page bio and have a friend help you make a one-page bio. Establish goals for each week, different types of goals. And if you're starting to feel kind of down in the dumps, volunteer some time to help others, and you'll probably get more back in return in terms of feeling good, even if it's working at a food bank, which is so important right now. Just get out, get some fresh air, and help others. And give back and share information with people in your network. I know several people on this call today are very good about sharing articles and tips and videos on LinkedIn. Share information with your network. Be known as that person that shares information, right, Heidi? Yeah, you're just one name that popped up here, you know, because you shared information, and thank you. Okay, and then target your top 10 to 20 most trusted colleagues in network, your favorite old bosses or coworkers, and network with them. Let them know what you're looking for. Get their advice. Did I hear you say you believe that recruiters do not try to find applicants? No, I must have misspoken there. No, recruiters are always looking for good applicants. And I encourage you to reach out to some proactively as well. So I apologize if I misspoke there, because I used to be a recruiter, and boy, I was always searching for applicants. I'd go into LinkedIn and typed in keywords to look for people. Yes, absolutely. And I can get you connected with recruiters who are looking for candidates. So thank you for asking that question. Yes, sometimes I get to talking so fast. Anyway, let's see, and write a networking letter to send to colleagues. And I have a sample in the handout. And then set up networking meetings and follow up afterwards. You know, follow up immediately with a thank you, and follow up a couple weeks later and let them know if you applied something they suggested, let them know. Write a list of questions to ask prior to each networking meeting. Think about that objective for that meeting. Think about what questions you want to ask, because you don't have much time. And then think about the list of things you can offer in return, you know, whether it's articles, gift cards, other people that other person may want to network with, or other organizations you could get that person involved with. Your value added. Okay. And then network and contact a person after each online job application. So if you apply for a job online, you must network, reach out to a person, either somebody you know at the company, a first line connection, or a second line connection that knows somebody at that company, or the recruiter that posted the job, or the recruiting manager, because it's the recruiting organization that's responsible for sifting through all the resumes and presenting those to the correct hiring manager. Good. So I've mentioned we've got a handout. We've posted it a couple times. And yes, and when you're reaching out to people, let them know, I meet the qualifications, because as a recruiter, anytime somebody reached out to me and said they met the qualifications, I always talk to that person, and those were the people I hired. Okay. And somebody wrote a comment. If you previously turned down a job and think it may have been a mistake, is it worth going back? Yeah. Sure, why not? Doesn't hurt. If you first because it wasn't a fit at the time, yeah. And often what happens in the world of recruiting, sometimes a job will be open, the hiring manager will hire somebody, 3 months later, the job's open again, because maybe that person didn't work out, or maybe they didn't pass the drug screen or something like that. And it's amazing how sometimes jobs pop back open again. So yes, reach out to that recruiter again and be really clear about what you're looking for. And they may have something different, either that job or maybe something similar. Good. And if a job gets relisted, is it worth reapplying? If you're already in the database, you might already be in the system, but it doesn't hurt to try. And reach out to a person, reach out to either the recruiter, if you know the name of the recruiter, or the recruiting manager. So yes, doesn't hurt to try. Okay, and then the handout also contains sample letters. And of course, I'd want you to reword it. I just made them very simple templates. And then we include links about networking questions, links to articles about additional networking questions, and then sample questions to ask in a networking meeting. And then in the handout, there's a place for your action plan. And when you do land, be sure to send thank you messages to all the people that helped you along the way. Keep a list of the people that helped you and continue to volunteer. I know people that have landed and they keep volunteering with the pit crew or keep volunteering with Jeff's organization. And then be helpful when people reach out to you. And here's a review of everything we've talked about. We only have a couple minutes. And want to ask people to type into chat what you plan to do as your first step as a result of this networking session that we've talked about. I'd like to hear and hear some ideas. What do you think you might do as a next step? Hold yourself accountable to doing something. Somebody's going to update their picture. That's a good idea. It's good to do it every 2 or 3 years, or in my case, maybe every few months. I'm going to change my hairstyle.
All right, that is Carol's presentation. Thank you for joining us today. Let's see here. I didn't really see any questions in the chat window. I have posted the secrets for a handout in the her handout, and the sample bio is in there. If anybody else would like to get a copy, if you were not able to download it, you can send me an email at networking@careerdfw.org, networking@careerdfw.org. Let me know that you're looking for the networking handouts from today, and I will be glad to get those to you. All right, Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. We'd like you to join us tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting. They're going to talk about the joy of stress. This is a great video talking about stress relief and why you may be stressed. Looking for a job is hard work. Join us tomorrow morning. If you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, come join us in person. Otherwise, if you're outside the DFW area, we will be on Zoom and Facebook Live. Next Monday, I'm doing a special presentation for the St. Andrew Career Care Career Ministry there. Successful job searches focus on these 4 areas. So these are the 4 big areas I think you need to focus on. If you'd like to join us next Monday, 2 p.m. Central Time, the link to get to this presentation will be on the Career DFW and Career USA websites. Just go to training and you'll be able to find the link to do that there. Next Tuesday, LinkedIn Tuesdays, we're going to talk with Locke Alderson about how to use LinkedIn for job hunting, strategies to get results. Next Wednesday, the Practice Interview team will be meeting in person. There will be no online, Zoom, or Facebook Live next Wednesday. If you'd like to come watch a live practice interview, you're welcome to do so. If you want to be interviewed, send your resume and a job description to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. And then next Thursday, being the 3rd Thursday of the month, we're going to talk all about effective resumes, and we'll have a speaker who will share their thoughts on that. If you'd like to join the Career DFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to join one or both. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group, but I will look at your profile. I want to make sure that it's mostly complete, because why are you on LinkedIn if you're not, if your profile is not mostly complete so people can find you? This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page, the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, be sure to click on playlist because there's over 530 videos on the YouTube channel. Clicking on playlist gets it down to one of 7 different lists. You can then click on whichever topic you'd like to, and down, don't click on the video, but down at the very bottom, it says view full playlist. Click there, and up will come a list of all the different dates and topics and titles, and you can find the one that you're interested in going back and watching. This video will take a couple hours for YouTube to process, so it'll be up by 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career DFW LinkedIn or a Career DFW mailing list, just scan this QR code and it'll generate an email. You don't have to put anything in the email, just hit send, or you can just send a blank email to Career USA, the + subscribe@groups.io. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. Everybody is a volunteer. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 15 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Have a great Thursday afternoon, and hopefully we will see you in the morning.